Hello everyone, it's Cameron. Welcome to another video. Now, first of all, before we get into this video, I just want to say I hope all the viewers had a good Christmas. I had a good Christmas, and I'll show what I got for Christmas in my next vinyl update when that happens. It might be in the new year. But today I wanted to do a first time listens video. Now this is the last video of 2022, I want to do a very special video and do the first time listens for September, October, November and December of 2022. So we're going to get into it. We've got a lot of stuff to get through, a couple of CDs, mostly vinyl albums. There's going to be a lot of Elvis Presley in this. I will warn viewers, there's going to be a lot of Elvis Presley, but I hope that doesn't put you off watching. I hope you like what you see in the video that's not Elvis. So we're going to start with a couple of CDs. First up being Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band, live in New York City. This is from their 1999 to 2000 reunion tour, and the CD was released in 2001. It's a good album, good live album, I really like it. Quite a lot of great ones on here. I like the versions of My Love Will Not Let You Down, Two Hearts. The version of Atlantic is quite good. There's like an 11-minute version of The River which has quite a long intro, but then once it gets to the actual song, it's a good version. You've got big hits like Badlands, Born to Run, Born in the USA. There's even great ones here like Jungle Land as well, which is one that he doesn't do, he does on occasions, Jungle Land. There's a 16-minute version of 10th Avenue Freeze Out, which is quite quite good, because he does at some point in the song, he does a song called Take Me Down to the River, or however that one goes, or whatever that one's called, but it goes something like Take Me Down to the River or something like that. Lost in the Flood, that's quite a rare one. And there's two new songs that he premiered for the first time, which were Land of Hope and Dreams, which later will go on Wrecking Ball in 2012, and American Skin 41 Shots, which was later recorded on High Hopes in 2014. So not a bad live album, quite good. The DVD has more songs in it. I've yet to watch the DVD of it, but I know the DVD of this one has like more songs on this, because this was like an HBO television special. So yeah, 2 discs, 2001, Bruce Springsteen, E Street Band, live in New York City. Pretty good live album. Next is Paul McCartney and Flamin' Pie. This is 1997. I had the CD of this for years. I got this back in 2013, but I hadn't heard it until fairly recently, but it's a really, really great album. It's one of my favourite Paul albums. I know it's many people's favourite Paul McCartney albums. This is definitely up there with like things like McCartney 2, Kisses on the Bottom from 2012, Noon 2013, and Chaos and Creation in the Backyard from 2005. This is definitely up there as one of being Paul's best. I really like the song we were singing, The World Tonight, Calico Skies, the title track, Little Willow, and Beautiful Night's a great song as well. So is Great Day. So yeah, this came out in 1997. I really like that disc design. I'd like to get this one on vinyl, but it's really tricky to get a hold of. But I know this was re-released 2 years ago for the archive collection, but the price in that started to go up a bit. So I'm hoping that Paul does like a colour vinyl reissue and has it for like a good, reasonable price. So yeah, I hope that we get but I'll probably try and find the archive one for a good price somewhere. But yeah, nice to have this one. Paul McCartney, Flamin' Pie from 1997. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah. I don't know why I say hope you enjoy that, because I say that after every song, when I go to play every song on my radio show. So maybe I'm thinking I'm still in the radio studio for some reason. Right, now the vinyls. First one up being Elvis in Concert, a double LP. Released in 1977, just about a few months after Elvis's passing in the August of 77. This came out in I think the October or November of 77. And this is a really good live album. Even if Elvis was not in like good shape during this period, it was still a good live album. I like CC Rider, That's Right Mama, the version of I Lonesome Song, even if he does like mumble through his song, that song. There's a medley of Don't Be Cruel and Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear as well, which is quite good as well. You Give Me Your Mountain's always great when he does that live. My Way is great as well. The version of Can't Help Falling in Love is good as well. There's things like Love Me on here, which he didn't often do live, I don't think. Trying to Get to You is one that he didn't often do live. And there's a medley of O Sole Mio, which I think one of the backing singers sings first, and then Elvis sings It's Now or Never, which is a really good version of that. Then there's Little Sister. Now Little Sister, that was often a song that Elvis didn't do live. He first done it, I think, in the Vegas residency in 1970. Then he dropped it, and then he picked it up again in 1976 and did it on his last tour on this album. And I like the version of Early Morning Rain as well. Early Morning Rain was originally Gordon Lightfoot. So yeah, really good live album. I really enjoy it. This was taken, the soundtrack recording, it says in the bottom, original soundtrack recording from the CBS television special, plus additional songs recorded on tour in June of 1977. So this was taken from like Elvis's like last sort of tour in 77. And a lot of people think that, that there's a dialogue in this where Vernon Presley, Elvis's father, says that this was his son's last performance. It wasn't actually his son's Elvis's last performance. His last performance would take place a few days later in Indianapolis. But this is like taken from shows in Omaha, Nebraska, and Rapid City in South Dakota. So two of his last performances, not his very last performance. But get a really good live album, Elvis in Concert, 1977. And then we got his debut from 1956, just called Elvis Presley. A great debut album. I really enjoyed this. Blue Suede Shoes, that's a big hit, really like that. I Got a Woman, Tutti Frutti, Trying to Get to You, I'm Gonna Sit Right Down and Cry Over You is one that the Beatles did on their Live at the BBC album, and even did that at the Star Club in Hamburg as well. Blue Moon's good as well, and so is Money Honey. That's quite a good one, Money Honey. So a really good debut album. It's got a kind of rock and roll sound, and it's got like a bit of and it's a very good rock and roll record. It really was the kind of start of, this was kind of like one of the first albums to really sort of be recognised in terms of historical significance. It's definitely up there with being an important debut album, along with the Beatles' Please Please Me as well in '63. Really great record from 1956, Elvis. So this is the US track listing. I know the UK version is called Rock and Roll, which I hope to find that one eventually, the UK version, so I could compare like the track listing. But really good to have this one, and yeah, really great one, Elvis Presley. Now another debut album I have to show, Van Halen. This is their first album from 1978. This is. I know many people think this is a great album, and yet this was a great album. I liked You Really Got Me, Running with the Devil, Ain't Talking About Love, Ice Cream Man was good as well, I'm the One was pretty good as well. Yeah, really great album. And this was kind of like Van Halen's, as I say, the first album. This is when they really got kind of started. So yeah, great album, like I say. First album overall. You have David Lee Roth at the front at this point. He was the first lead singer, and Michael Anthony on the bass as well. So yeah, this is like the peak kind of lineup of Van Halen. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still don't get a lot of great stuff for Sammy Hagar, but people think the David Lee Roth era from 78 to 84 is their best period, and I think it's a great period. But I like the Sammy Hagar period too. I like both. I kind of need to pick up my Van Halen albums a lot more and kind of get into them a bit more. I will definitely do that at some point. I'll definitely get into the Van Halen catalogue a bit more, because I've only heard like this, 1984, 5150 and OU812 and like Greatest Hits albums. That's all I kind of know on them. So yeah, definitely to give them their other albums a bit more listen and sort of open-minded a bit. But I've heard bits of like their other catalogue as well. Right, back to Elvis. Raised on Rock from 1973, or for old time's sake, so it's kind of two titles that you could give this album. Anyway, but this is a pretty good album. I really like this one. I really like the title track. Find Out What's Happening. I Miss You is a beautiful song. If You Don't Come Back. Sweet Angeline. Free Corn Patches is quite good as well. So yeah, not a bad album, pretty good album. This album kind of doesn't get spoken about. Didn't chart at all in this country, in the UK. Might have charted in the US, I can't remember, but I know reading somewhere this never charted in Britain, which is hard to believe because Elvis Presley had such a huge following in this country, as well as in America and around the world pretty much. So, and for All Time 6 is a great track as well. So yeah, not a bad album. It's actually a really good album. I don't understand why it gets all the kind of, why it didn't chart. It's hard to understand, but really great album, and one that I never knew existed until sort of fairly recently. Yeah, nice to have this one. Elvis Presley, or Elvis, this just says, Raised on Rock, and For Old Time's Sake, whatever you want to refer to it as. Next is Moody Blue, 1977. This was his final album, released just a few weeks before before his passing, and it's a really great album. It's probably a favourite of mine in terms of Elvis's catalogue. I like Unchained Melody, which was recorded during the 77 tour. If You Love Me, Let Me Know, He'll Have to Go, Way Down's great. That was his kind of the big hit that was out after he died, or became a big hit after his death. Pledge of My Love's great as well. Moody Blue's a great title track, and so is She Thinks I Still Care. But the whole album is fantastic. I think it's a brilliant album. It's definitely a favourite of mine in Elvis's catalogue. I don't have a definitive favourite Elvis album yet, but this would definitely be amongst the top. Elvis, Moody Blue. Then we have Elvis as recorded at Madison Square Garden. This is a 1972 live album from the Saturday Evening Show on June 10th, 1972. I really like the fact that That's Alright Mama on here. He does a version of Proud Mary, which is... he does a good version of that one, actually, on this album, Proud Mary. You Don't Have to Say You Love Me good as well. All Shook Up as well, which is quite an unusual one that he didn't often do. Heartbreak Hotel, that's another one he didn't often do as well. There was like some songs he would do for a period of time and then drop them and kind of not really sort of play them again. And there were some songs throughout tours that he'd never done live before and just did. Love Me Tender as well. The Hound Dog's great as well. The Impossible Dream, Suspicious Minds, For the Good Times, The American Trilogy, and Can't Help Falling in Love's great as well. So the whole live album's fantastic. Elvis really was a great sort of performer and sort of showman. Hearing some of the recordings and watching some of the film footage as well, he definitely was a great sort of live performer. Very sort of, he had that sort of charisma attached to him, and that's, I think, one of the reasons he was a great performer. And a great showman too, because of his like outfits, like jumpsuits and that. So yeah, really great live album. Elvis as recorded at Madison Square Garden in 1972. Now, I didn't have the vinyl of this at the time. When I first heard this album, I had the CD, but now I've got the vinyl. I want to show the vinyl. And this will be in the next vinyl update, as will a couple of the other things I've got to show, a few others. This is Bruce Springsteen's new album, Only the Strong Survive. This came out in November, and I think it's a brilliant album. Now, this is all like soul covers, and I actually just reviewed this on my channel. If you want to go back and look at that video, you can do so. This is a great album, and probably my favourite album of this year, 2022. Title track was brilliant. Night Shift, Do I Love You, Indeed I Do, Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore, When She Was My Girl, I Wish It Would Rain, Don't Play That Song, What Becomes of the Broken Hearted is great as well, and Someday We'll Be Together. A brilliant album, one that I would recommend if you haven't heard. I mean, I really like the fact that he's doing soul covers, because Bruce has often done a lot of albums that have never been his sort of style. If he does like a different style of music to him, he's done it before with like the Brass Guy in '82. I don't really know that album too well, but the things like Ghost of Tom Joad, Devils and Dust. He even did Western Stars in 2019. That was a great one as well. And he did an album of covers before in 2006 with the Seeger Sessions. I don't really know that one too well. I need to hear that one before I can sort of comment on that one, but this is a great album. One of my favourite albums. Probably my favourite album of this year, actually. It's probably the only album that's really new for me this year, because there's not really been a lot of new material brought out this year. There's been like greatest hits from like Whitesnake, Everly Brothers, the Tom Petty just released the live, and the live at the Fillmore from 1997, which I'll show in another video. But yeah, but this is a great album, one that I would recommend. If you like soul music, or if you're a big Bruce fan and you don't know this album, this is one I would recommend. It's a brilliant album, I really like it. Then we have the Rolling Stones, Aftermath, 1966. This is a really good album. I really like Mother's Little Helper, Under My Thumb. Out of Time was pretty good. Pretty good album. I know this is a great album. I'm trying to remember what else. I can't really remember much about it though. I'll definitely. But the Going Home was dragged on a bit too long. It was good, but it kind of went on a bit for like 11 minutes. One that I kind of need to listen to again to sort of fresh in my mind, but it was a really good album. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the album. It was a pretty good album. I really enjoyed it. Now, recently we've had Christmas, as I'm sure you know, so I've probably shown this a bit late, but this was part of the First Times Listened video, and this is, again, these next two are new ones that I've never shown before on the channel. Elvis's Christmas album. This originally came out in 1957, and this is a pretty good album. I really like Santa Claus is Back in Town, White Christmas, Here Comes Santa Claus, I'll Be Home for Christmas, Silent Night's good as well, There'll Be Peace in the Valley for Me as well, Take My Hand, Precious Lord's a good one as well, and Ain't No Secret What God Can Do as well. So yeah, a really good Christmas album. I really enjoyed it. And definitely, you know, I kind of bought this in like November before Christmas, so kind of made sense for me to get it in November so that we could get ready for like the festive period. But I'll show this in my next vinyl update as well, because it's one that I've yet to show on the channel. But I've showed it before my Elvis Presley vinyl collection video, but I'm going to show it again in the next vinyl update too. Again, this one I've also shown in the Elvis Presley collection video, but I want to show it in the vinyl update as well when I get round to it. Spin Out, the soundtrack film to Spin Out, or California Holidays it was called over here in the UK. 1966. Really good album, I really enjoyed it. Stop, Look and Listen, All That I Am I Ready was great. Beat Shack is good as well. I'll Be Back. And I really like the last track, I'll Remember You. That was a great song as well. Not a bad soundtrack album, quite a good one. A lot of people say, oh, soundtracks are alright, yeah, but I know a lot of Elvis's movies, some of them, from what I've heard, are a bit rubbish, but I haven't really seen any of the films he's been in as of yet, so I've yet to make comment, but the soundtrack on this one was really good. I really enjoyed it. It might be different to his previous material, but still a great album nonetheless. The Elvis albums I've heard so far have been really good, and there's probably not been a song I thought, oh, I didn't like that. So far I've been really impressed with what I've heard so far, because there may be an album that I've heard of his and go, no, I don't like that one too much. But so far that hasn't happened. But another great one, Spin Out, 1966, Elvis Presley. Again, I probably shown this one a bit late, but again, it was Christmas. I thought I would choose this one to play because I've never heard it. Christmas with the Everly Brothers and the Boys Town Choir. This is an album that they recorded in 1962 of Christmas songs with a choir who were the Boys Town, Omaha, Nebraska choir. And this is a really nice album. I really like the production. The Everly Brothers' harmonies in the choir has come together really well. Things like A Dusty Fiddles, The First Noel, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Deck the Halls of Brother Holly, Bring a Torch, Jeanette, Isabella, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas really good as well. This is a really, really lovely album, a really nice album. And it's one I'll definitely be playing for next year's Christmas. Really enjoyed it. 1962, Christmas with the... There were some songs I didn't like too much. I didn't like the version of Away in the Manger too much. That was just the choir on its own. Phil and Don did do a couple of solo tracks as well. I think Don's solo one, What Child Is This, and Phil's solo on Old Little Town of Bethlehem as well. So I like the fact there's a bit of a variety here. But nice to have this one. Again, the Everly Brothers with the Christmas with the Everly Brothers with the Boys Town Choir. Really good album. And the last two have been songs I've listened to this week. I listened to that Everly Brothers one on Christmas Eve. From Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee. This is from the album before Moody Blue. And some of these songs were recorded, and some of the songs recorded during these sessions would later go on Moody Blue. So yeah, I like, this is a really great one. I like Hurt, Never Again, Danny Boy, The Last Farewell, which Roger Whittaker sang as well. Solitaire's great. I'll Never Fall in Love Again as well, is good as well. So yeah, really great album, I really enjoyed it. Some variations have a recorded live thing. Well, this album was not really like a live album per se. It was actually an album he'd done like live in the studio. So kind of like misleading a little bit. But I think it's a really great album. I really like it. 1976. And I really like the cover for this one as well. A really nice picture of Elvis on one of his like tours. Might be 74, I think, because he's not as like bloated as he was in 77. So I think this is like a 74, 75 or 73, maybe earlier photo. I'll need to try and look into this, but really great album. Last one up is, again, I haven't shown this one yet, The Highwayman. This came out in 1985. The Highwaymen were like this country group of Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson. And I'm a big Johnny Cash fan, and that's how I know about this group. And this is a really great album, I will say. This is 1985. Title track, Highwayman's great, as is Jim Award, Tides Day, Big River, Committed to Park View, Deportee, Plane Wreck at Los Gatos is another good one. The 20th Century's Almost Over is another good one as well. Yeah. I really enjoyed this album. I really liked it. It was a pretty good album. A lot of Johnny Cash albums are really great, and there's ones I haven't yet heard, but this is one of the later ones, but it's a really good one to have. Again, I'll talk about this one a bit more when I show this in my next final update, which will be very soon, I hope. So that was Highwayman, 1985. And that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've stayed for the length of this video, because I do sort of talk a bit too much and I do kind of go on a bit, but you know, I like to talk about this kind of thing on the channel. So that's it for this video of 2022. It's been a pretty good year for the channel, I will say, even if there's been moments I've not been making as much videos. I still have done some pretty good content. But I want to talk about what you can expect from this channel in 2023. Well, there's not going to really be any change to the channel. I'm still going to make vinyl updates, first time listens. But what I'm really hoping to do is I'm hoping to kind of do more album reviews. That's something I would really like to do in 2023. is make more album reviews. I've done a couple this year. I think I did Foreigner 4 this year, and I've did Bruce Springsteen's Only the Strong Survive. But I would really like to do like more album reviews, like go back and review albums and talk about them, my favourite songs, and sort of yeah, kind of talk about them. So that's really what I want to do for 2023. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in 2023 for our next video. And have a happy new year when it comes, folks.